doing it really well because I'm getting off.
Thanks.
If a pan handle is over the flame, say something, will you please, yeah?
Yes, chef.
Wake up!
Gordon Ramsay is everybody's favorite foul-mouthed chef, famous for kicking chefs into shape and pretty much being non-stop energetic. But as much as he talks a big game, how much of that can Gordon really back up? In this video, we'll be going over the life of Gordon Ramsay, tackling every failure and success he's had in his life, and finally answering the question, is Gordon Ramsay overrated? And if you don't want to end up like an idiot sandwich, then you better watch until the very end, so you too can decide for yourself. Early life. Before we get to the age of Michelin stars and Hollywood stars, we first have to glance back at the most non-glamorous part of his life, growing up. Gordon Ramsay was born on November 8, 1966, in Johnston, Renfrewshire, Scotland. Non-glamorous isn't even a strong enough word to explain his early life, since he was literally down in the dumps. His father was unable to hold down a job for too long and forced their family to constantly move, a position any father would be frustrated to be in, but the worst part was that he took this frustration out on his family. Gordon Ramsay, the man known for shouting his lungs out on TV, has actually had a history of domestic abuse from his father. In fact, his father was the first person to actually stand against Gordon and cooking, verbally abusing him instead with homophobic slurs. But before Gordon completely fell in love with cooking, he first fell in love with football. Every kid around the world dreams of doing the thing they love for a living, but Ramsay was an outlier because he was actually talented. His talent even got him a consistent spot in a football club, but his talent could only take him so far. Plagued by injury after injury, he was forced to let go of his dream and find a new one. After months of trying to find his footing, he was offered a sponsored culinary curriculum, and then it was love at first spice. This love would quite literally take him places, as he landed a job in London along with an apprenticeship under Marco Pierre White, a chef known for his culinary skills and pointed attitude. Sound familiar? That's because we're now witnessing the birth of the Gordon Ramsay we know today. Branding. Gordon Ramsay would continue to work under Chef White for 3 years until he realized he had enough. After a graceful exit from work, he began sponging up even more experience, rubbing elbows with famous chefs like the kind-hearted Chef Savoy and the even more mentally abusive Chef Robuchon. This period of alternating growth and abuse tempered Gordon Ramsay to greatness, and he was now ready to take on bigger and better things. In 1998, at the age of 31, the now-renowned chef Gordon Ramsay opened his first wholly owned restaurant, creatively named Restaurant Gordon Ramsay. Because of his renown, broadcasters wanted to document his day-to-day operations. An interesting concept for television, but even Gordon was surprised at what the cameras saw. Ramsay's television career took off with the British show Boiling Point in 1998, which documented the opening of his restaurant. On his first ever television appearance, Gordon saw the reflection of abuse that he'd been experiencing all along. The shouting, the cursing, the mental abuse that his coworkers must have hated. But the critics sure loved it. And not only did Gordon Ramsay's personality reel in the views, it also brought in the customers. As ashamed as Gordon Ramsay was about his personality on cam, there was no denying that it was popular. Soon after, the opportunity to herald a new British TV show would come knocking on his door. The executives thought that the concept of the show was perfect for Gordon Ramsay's growing, jagged personality. And now he was being called into the big leagues. This show was named Kitchen Nightmares. Kitchen Nightmares is a reality TV show that was delegated to Chef Gordon Ramsay after an uneventful pilot. The premise of the show revolves around Ramsay visiting struggling restaurants and doing his best to turn the business around, a task he has had experience with during his time with Chef White, but one that he now had to do in front of the cameras. The restaurants featured on the show were typically facing various challenges, such as poor management, unsanitary conditions, subpar food quality, or financial difficulties. Now, usually watching a show like this would be depressing, but Ramsay's jagged attitude and firm leadership would hook viewers in early. Everyone loved watching arrogant restaurateurs being yelled at for serving month-old chicken strips. Ramsay's process was simple. He spends a week at the restaurant, observing its operations, tasting the food, and identifying areas for improvement. He then works closely closely with the restaurant's owners, chefs, and staff to implement changes aimed at revitalizing the business. A noble cause for sure, and one that Gordon Ramsay is proud of after every episode. But the real meat of this story is what happens once the cameras are gone. Out of the 106 restaurants that Gordon Ramsay has visited throughout both the British and American run of Kitchen Nightmares, only 21 of them are still operating. That's a closure rate of 81% already. What's worse is that most of these restaurants closed down within a year after Gordon Ramsay allegedly saved their restaurant. So if Gordon Ramsay's walking around and talking a big game, calling everyone donkeys and looking for the lamb sauce at the top of his lungs, why is it then that all the restaurants he's touched on the show all end in ruin? Granted, most of the restaurants on the show are already in ruin and too far gone for Ramsay's guidance to do anything. Shouldn't there at least be some saving grace? Well, let's just hope the restaurants he has full control over have more luck. Ramsay's Restos. Every restaurateur dreams of attaining one thing and one thing only: the coveted Michelin star. If you aren't in the know on gourmet restaurants, a Michelin star is a prestigious accolade awarded by the Michelin Guide, an annual guidebook published by the French tire company Michelin. Yes, that Michelin. Guess we know why the Michelin Man looks so inflated. Michelin stars are awarded to restaurants based on the quality of their cuisine, with 1 star denoting a very good restaurant, 2 stars signifying excellent cooking that's worth a detour, and 3 stars representing exceptional cuisine that's worth a special journey. These stars are rare among the restaurant community, and some chefs can only dream of having 1 awarded to them. As for Gordon Ramsay, he has 16 awarded to his name. Being the 3rd most awarded chef in the world, Gordon Ramsay runs a very tight ship. In fact, his very first restaurant, the restaurant Gordon Ramsay, has been awarded 3 Michelin stars and only 1 of the 8 Michelin star restos in Britain. But amidst the success of all of his other restaurants, a few glaring mistakes happened along the way. As much as Gordon Ramsay loves to talk a big game about owning a restaurant, there have been a few instances where he mishandled his restaurants and failed miserably. One such incident involved pure, unadulterated negligence and indifference. After opening a restaurant called the Laurier Gordon Ramsay with a business partner, he would stop showing up at the restaurant completely, letting his business partner take over for most of the operations. This messy partnership actually ended up in court. And funnily enough, this wasn't Ramsay's first tango with the law. Ramsay has also been infamously known for being really bad with taxes. Multiple accounts of him letting his business accumulate millions upon millions of unpaid taxes for his restaurants, even forcing some of his restaurants closed to regroup and iron issues out. But as glaring as this all may be, the amount of successful restaurants that Gordon Ramsay has are all held to a high regard and should be respected. Where is he now? Now, Gordon Ramsay continues to live a happy and fulfilling life as a successful chef, only regarding his problems as just that, problems on the path of an overall amazing career. After years of growing into the harsh and foul-mouthed persona we saw on TV, he's now left this persona in the past and now makes wholesome videos of cooking with his family and berating other cooks on TikTok. He's continued to create TV shows and other brand deals just to keep his financials afloat, though let's be honest, his life right now is already quite lofty. So now that we've rattled all the skeletons in Chef Gordon Ramsay's closet, it's up to you to decide whether or not Chef Gordon Ramsay is as overrated as people say he is, or if he's just simply rated.